Okay, welcome everyone to a special lunchtime presentation brought to you by the Lake Stevens Chamber of Commerce. Today we're having chats with the chiefs. We've got Chief O'Brien and Chief Dyer with us. But before we get to them, I want to get to a couple of quick announcements from us here at the Chamber. First of all, I want to say thank you to our gold investors for 2020, Ace Hardware of Lake Stevens, as well as Community Transit. And our 2020 silver investors as well, Waste Management, Heritage Bank, Wells Fargo, and Republic Services. A couple of upcoming events to talk to you guys about real quick. Just a reminder, this Saturday in North Cove Park and the Mill in downtown Lake Stevens, it is the Lake Stevens Harvest Market. We'll be there, as well as up to 70 vendors, I think she said she had. So a lot of stuff going on, a lot of food vendors, a lot of farm vendors, all kinds of great crafts and stuff like that. You get to jump on your holiday shopping. It'll be lots of fun. Costumes are highly encouraged for little ones, and many of the vendors will be handing out candy and stuff. So please do costume up and come down and join us, and drop by and see us at the Chamber booth. We'll say hi to you there. So I want to remind you about our luncheon next month. We are having next in our session of Connect with Brett, our meetings with Mayor of Lake Stevens, Brett Gailey. This will be on Wednesday, November 18th at 12 noon. Just to make a note, that is the third Wednesday, not the second Wednesday. We're moved it for 1 week to avoid Veterans Day. So join us next month to connect with Brett and hear an update on the city of Lake Stevens. Some upcoming networking events real quick. Like 1 week from today, we're doing a special evening one-on-one networking opportunity through the Blitzer platform. The Blitzer platform is a new platform out there for networking. It kind of tries to bring back to us what we lost when we were when we were shut down by COVID. It brings back that one-to-one networking that you don't get on a Zoom meeting necessarily. Really kind of fun. You sign up for the system, you can set priority the people you want to meet with of those that are registered for the meeting. And then when the meeting starts, there's a brief little presentation where I'll talk about events or whatever, stuff like this, little announcements. And then we go to one-to-one networking. Basically, it's you and one other person on a video call and timed for 5 minutes. You get to talk with them directly, make that one-to-one connection that we just kind of haven't been able to do quite as well since COVID pandemic. So hope you can join us next Wednesday for that. That's at 5 p.m. And our networking after hours, which will be on the same day as our luncheon next month. So busy day, November 18th. This one will be again on the Blitzer Network and again starting at 5 p.m. So we hope you can join us for that as well. And then our morning mingle, which will be on November 25th. The Tuesday before Thanksgiving, we'll do a little morning wake-up chat, hopefully last minute stuff before you get out of town for the holidays, or do whatever we're going to be able to do for Thanksgiving this year. It'll be a little different. So want to remind you guys about our upcoming event, the Lights of Lake Stevens, presented by Ace Hardware. This is going to be a holiday lights and display contest for the Lake Stevens area, and we are really excited about it. Our entries for this is going to open on November 2nd, but we still have plenty of opportunity for you to get in and be a sponsor. We're looking for category sponsors, so the 5 categories you see there on your screen, we are looking for sponsors for each one of those categories, as well as a prize fund sponsor. We'd like to offer a prize fund to the best in each of these 5 categories and an overall. So if you're interested in becoming a sponsor, please do reach out. We'd love to have you on board and for this community event, hopefully bring a little extra cheer this holiday season. So that's all I've got. So we can move on now. Let me welcome to the meeting here, Chief Dyer and Chief O'Brien. Chats with the Chief. Gentlemen, this stage is yours. Take it away.
Hey, thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. It's good to see everybody. Thanks for joining us today. See a lot of friendly, familiar faces. I miss the meetings with people. I know you all do too. But it's great to see you, and it's great to be able to talk with you today about what's happening. Chief Dyer and I did a coin flip, and I get to go first. And so today I'm going to talk a little bit about what's happening in your fire department, and I also want to throw out some kudos to Lana Larson Hey, Lana, I see you on one of the tiles. Good to see you. Thanks for all you do for the fire department. And then I also want to introduce Heather Chadwick, and she'll talk a little bit today. She's our public information officer, and she does a lot of the same types of things that Lana does and did, and so we're just a new team. And that's kind of what my talk's going to be about. We're the same fire department. We serve Lake Stevens. All the stations in Lake Stevens, we are dedicated to the neighborhoods. Like today, we're at Station 82, the Chapel Hill Frontier Village Station. Of course, Station 81's downtown Lake Stevens Station, and then our Machias Station. But with our new merger, we have a new name. It's Snohomish Regional Fire and Rescue. And we chose that name with help from the community and other folks and folks internally because it is a regional fire district, and it spans from, we're going to talk a little bit more, but spans from Lake Stevens to Monroe, Maltby, Clearview, and we serve Mill Creek as well. We found absolutely immediate improvements in service to the merger. And really it manifested itself in the COVID-19 pandemic. It turned everybody's world upside down. For us, it allowed us, because our business is emergency response, obviously. And what it allowed us is to have a stronger team, a stronger network. When COVID hit, we came together not only as a district to make sure all of our areas were protected, but as a county. And we created a kind of control center. And no kidding, we got resources from NASA on checklists and what to do, how to do it. And we kind of changed our operations, and our people really adapted well. And it was really the merger and becoming a stronger district really helped us through the process. So it's been great. It's been a really good thing. So today Heather we have a little presentation, a little PowerPoint I'll walk through, and love to take any questions. But again, I'm just tickled to see all of you and to be here in Lake Stevens. So good stuff. So here we go. If we can start rolling. So there we go. So we're Snohomish Regional Fire and Rescue, and we appreciate the opportunity to serve. We love what we do, and we appreciate the community support. It's very strong in Lake Stevens. It has been for many years. And of course, January 1, we merged with Fire District 7. Now we're Snohomish Regional Fire and Rescue. And as a side note, our headquarters is actually now in Monroe. The police department, the city purchased the headquarters that we were in Lake Stevens, and so Chief Dyer kicked me out. So, no, I'm really excited about it. Yesterday we toured it, and it's a beautiful facility, and I'm sure he'll talk more about it. But we were really excited to partner with the city and the police department on that move. While our headquarters is in Monroe, we have I have a satellite office here at Station 82. And so I'm here quite a bit as well. So we are operating under a balanced budget. We're very accountable to the taxpayers, 36 years of audits with no findings, clean audits. All of our meetings are accessible and open to the public. You can go to our website, click on it. You can see our minutes, and you can attend our meetings virtually. And so that's on our website. And then this slide talks a little bit shows the district. And so we serve 162,000 people or more, probably more, over 140 square miles. And then our alarms we responded to 17,000 in 2019. And then we have about 300 people, 300 employees in our 11 stations. And it spans a large area of northeast Snohomish County. Stations are all strategically placed, and this is part of the reason why we merge. Is in looking forward to the future, we need to be more strategic as an industry, making sure our people are placed strategically in the growing area of Snohomish County so we can best serve. We have each year, we put together an annual report that talks about, okay, we're doing this annual report?
Yeah.
Okay, annual report. So annual report that talks about our services, our financial operations, response times, basically what we do and how we perform. And there's a detail of it on our website. And I want to take some time or pass the torch over to Heather. She'll talk a little bit more about the annual report and some of the things we have happening.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Can you guys all hear me? Awesome. Okay, so our annual report, the 2019 annual report is a look back on Fire District 7. So moving forward for the 2020 will be our new merged district with Snohomish Regional Fire and Rescue. But you can see in the annual report on our website detailed information about our rescue programs, how we support our businesses with our annual inspections, and some key highlights of CPR rate, survival rates, and also our education and outreach efforts as well. So I would encourage you to take a look at the annual report if you have more questions about the fire district, or and then feel free to reach out to Chief O'Brien or myself if you have any questions about that. And so let's see. There we go. Sorry, my computer's moving a little bit slow today. Maybe it needs another cup of coffee. There we go. So our services for Snohomish Regional Fire and Rescue, we obviously we have our fire suppression and prevention, and this is all overviewed in the annual report as well. Our emergency medical service with our ALS, which is our paramedics, and then our BLS, which is our EMTs. Ambulance transport, motor vehicle collision response, technical rescue, which is a county team, our water rescue team, hazardous materials response, which is again, we partner together through the county with that team, disaster management and preparedness, and then of course, public education and community engagement, because we truly do believe that we are a part of the communities we serve, and we want to be part of our communities. And with that, our home education lessons, I hope that you guys were able to see some of the efforts once COVID was starting to close things down, and especially schools. We value our partnership with our schools so much to be able to teach risk or fire and life safety messages and how to reduce risk in our communities. And we do a lot of that effort through our schools. And so once our schools were closing and not able to meet in person, we had to think outside of the box, and we had to change the way that we were presenting these very, very important lessons to our students and to our families. So our public education team, myself and Caitlin King, she's our public education specialist, started teaching online classes. So we actually taught them Facebook Live. I'm hoping some of you were able to join us in the spring. And then throughout the summer when school was out of session, there was a lot of work behind the scenes because we had the thought that schools were going to continue to not be able to be open come the fall, and we want to support our teachers as much as possible. And so I'm actually going to reshare a different screen so I can show you some more about that. So here is our home education. So this is our landing page, preparedness and education and home education lessons. So the goal behind these is that not only are we trying to continue the efforts of teaching fire and life safety messages to our students, but then also supporting our teachers. And so all of our lessons are also have learning standards integrated that they are needing to teach per their grade level. So it's focused on 2nd through 5th grade. And all of these are free on our website. The videos that are taught by your local firefighters are on our website, as well as the instructor companion worksheets and enrichment materials. So students continue that education with their families at home. But I wanted to just show you really quickly, again, supporting the teachers and families as much as possible with vocabulary and standards that they would be learning in their classroom already, and really just trying to do our best to continue to connect with our schools, and then also educate on other services that the fire district has, or that we provide for you. Let me go back to the presentation. Oops, what is going on? So, so that's our education. Oh, is it glitching on your side? My side's glitching. Is it glitching? Or is it back? We're good? Okay. Sorry, my computer's having some problems right now. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to you, Chief, if anybody has any other questions. What do you see? Do you see that on your screen or no?
Yep, I've got the PowerPoint,
Okay, perfect.
but I think we'll just round her out.
Yep.
We have the PowerPoint, but it's not full screen.
Oh, perfect. Let me full screen that for you.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, perfect.
All right, and then we'll do one more screen.
Yep, there we go.
Cool. And this will be the final screen for us. But, you know, we want to really congratulate Heather and her team and Anna for working so hard to connect with the communities in this weird time. The school programs that Heather was talking about, we had a lot of attendees, and it was cool. It was really good to see. But we want to continue making sure that we're connecting with, you know, all the communities, all the organizations we can, because we're all in this together, and we're here for you. We work for you, and so there you have it. So, is there any questions about anything that we're doing or that's going on?
Any questions from anyone? Got a question for Chief O'Brien or no?
I can add something. When we talked at the beginning, we are engaged in a strategic planning process, and we just kicked that off about a month ago. Last night, we convened our first community leader advisory committee, and Matt is on that committee. Amy Beth is on it as well, and Chief Dyer is. And so we've wrangled in folks from the communities that we serve. Last night's meeting was great. We listened to some strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and took some great discussion and critique on how we can do better and how we can improve our strategic plan. So we really appreciate that. But again, things are good. We're moving forward well. Our people are staying healthy. We've got great folks serving, and so it's good stuff, and we appreciate it.
All right. Chief Dyer, looks like you're up, sir.
Okay, give me just a second here to get all set up.
No problem. Well, while you're getting set up, I do want to just take a moment and thank Chief O'Brien for having me on that committee. I appreciate the opportunity to give some input and be a part of that. So.
Okay, working on getting set up here. First of all, thanks the chamber for having me. I sure do appreciate it, and I echo Chief O'Brien and to say it's great to see everybody. And I'm going to echo Heather a little bit to say my computer's acting a little twitchy as well. So I may have to kind of go through this in a bit of a modified way without having all my fancy clicks and stuff like that. But again, thanks so much for having me. And I'll just start by saying that it's been a real challenging year for the police department in 2020. We continue to be guided by our mission, vision, values, and our strategic plan, which we engaged in a number of years ago. And certainly listing our mission statement. We serve the Lake Stevens community by enhancing public safety and quality of life through professional police services, organizational excellence, and interaction with our citizens. I've been very proud to be leading the Lake Stevens Police Department for the past 4 years. It's hard to believe that much time has gone by already, and I've truly loved the community. So I'm going to talk about 3 things today. A little bit an overview of the department itself, some of our strengths and some of our challenges, and I'll go through as quickly as I can because I know you're all busy folks. I'll look at a little bit at the organizational chart for the Lake Stevens Police Department. The thing that I will comment on this is the exact same organizational chart we had in 2019. Our FTEs, our number of employees, have remained stable for the past 3 years, which when we get to challenges, that will be one of the challenges I'll talk about. We have 33 commissioned officers. We have 1 limited commission, and that's Cindy Brooks, who is our code enforcement, our police support officer, and we have 7 non-commissioned officers throughout the department. The second thing that I'll show you is a little bit about our budget. I've said this before, and I believe at the chamber, one of the challenges of police work, it's a very personnel-heavy profession. There's no way to automate the things that officers do. It's a very face-to-face type of occupation. So you're looking at the budgets, the general budgets for the past 3 years. And the thing that I just want to kind of point out a little bit is you can see our personnel costs represent about 76% of our budget, and our contract services. And what I mean by that is we contract with the jail, we contract with the dispatch center, we contract with prosecutor. We have a number of contract services. And between those two, that makes up about 91% of our budget. And so for the rest of that 9%, then comes in all the operating costs, our fleet cost, training, marine program, and facilities. So our operating budget, if you will, is actually a pretty fine margin that we work with. Talk a little bit about some of our strengths, and Kevin O'Brien mentioned it. Number 1 is the community support. We have great support. Lake Stevens is a wonderful place to live and work, and we have great community support. I wish I could share all of the well wishes that we have received in 2020 from the community, not only through the COVID virus, but also some of the challenges law enforcement has seen this year. Huge amounts of community support, including a proclamation in support of the police department from City Council. Our staff is another one of our great strengths. I'm proud of the fact that in the past 4 years that I've been here, of our 33 commissioned officers, only 1 officer has left the department, and that was because his spouse got transferred to California, and so he had to go there. So we have a staff that is experienced, that is consistent, low turnover, and that they work very, very well together. So that's a real plus for the Lake Stevens Police Department. Thirdly, I'll talk just a little bit about our partnerships. As Chief O'Brien said, partnerships are critical to serving a community. We have strong partners with federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies and other professional groups, including the fire department here. And we continue to build on those partnerships as a way to better support the agency. So again, that's some of the strengths that we have. And the one thing I want to show is why I believe that we've had some great success are those strengths. And so you're looking at basically 2 charts. One is these are all the crime statistics representing Lake Stevens. And the one on the right is comparing us basically to all of the other larger cities in Snohomish County. And you can see that our rate of crime is the lowest in Snohomish County for these cities. Last year, Mill Creek beat us out a little bit. You can see that. And this is a per 1,000 crime rate per 1,000 population. Mill Creek beat us out at 35.1. And this year we were able to pass them up. And you can see that our crime rate has reduced every year for the past 4 years. So that's something that we are very proud of. And again, it's reflective of the community. So now I'll talk a little bit about what some of our challenges are. And so I'll talk briefly about 4 different things. One is the changing perception of police across the country. Second is the COVID pandemic that we've been facing, our facilities, and then last, and an important one, is the growth of the community and what challenges that faces for us. So the changing perceptions of police, and really the question is, what is the role of police in our communities, both with implicit bias, mental health issues, substance abuse issues, and homelessness. So there's a lot of discussion going across the country on what issues the police should be involved in and how they should be dealing with those things. Here in Lake Stevens, we've been working with the protesters to make sure their First Amendment rights are respected, and while keeping everyone safe, and great credit to those groups that we've been able to work well with them. We've worked hard at examining our policies and procedures to make sure they're in line with what the community would expect of us. We've continued training for our officers in the different areas that you can see. We've been partnering with different groups to try to think of more effective ways to deal with some of these social issues, and continuing to work with community members past the protest, but now working with them again to make sure that the way we operate is consistent with what the community expects. And last, I'll be creating in next year a Chiefs Advisory Board made up of people throughout the community, and one of the groups I will reach out to is the Chamber to make sure that we get business perspective on this, just to help the police department, again, to make sure that we're working in the way that you want us to. So that has been a real challenge this year. I have great respect for the men and women of the police department who every day have acted professionally to make sure that we're serving you well. So another challenge that we have had is facilities. As you all know, we have the facility next to Station 81 on Grade Road. This was a facility that was built in 2005 when Lake Stevens had a population of 7,000 people. And so, and it's a 4,000 square foot triple wide. And at the time it was built, it served the community well. I'm not sure back in 2005 if anybody could have foreseen that 15 years later, the population would be 35,000. And so that has been a real big challenge, the facilities that we've been working with. And so as Chief O'Brien mentioned, we've gone through a little bit of a curve in getting to where we're at. We started out looking at the Chapel Hill site right across from this station, and we designed an 18,000 square foot new facility, and then the price tag came in at $21 million. And we knew pretty quickly that that was not something that was going to work for us. And right at about that time, the fire department approached us with the possibility of purchasing their fire headquarters complex, which is actually made up of 3 buildings. And it's all 3 buildings. I say 15,000 square feet, but I think it's more like 18,000 square feet. And the price for the purchase and then the tenant improvements has been about $8 million, which will serve us well now and then into the future, but also do it in a way that's much more responsibly fiscally to the community. And here's a few pictures of the new building, which is under construction right now. We hope to start moving in right at about Thanksgiving time, so it's getting real close to the end. And so growth, that is a real big problem. So a real big challenge to us, I should say. As I said, 35,000 population. The city is discussing some annexations, which may add up to about 6,000 people to the city, as well as the many different developments that are underway. I can easily foresee us within the next year of being over 40,000, and which would make us, I want to say, the 4th largest city in Snohomish County. So one way that a lot of times people, look at, so the question really is how many police officers do you need? So the per capita comparison is one that's often used. And you can see I'm looking at all of our comparable cities. And you can see the per capita is how many police officers per 1,000 population. So you can see that the average of all of these are 1.27, and Lake Stevens is at 0.94, and state average being 1.4. So, and we are also the lowest per capita in Snohomish County as well, besides our comparables. It's a little bit tough to look at it that way because different communities are different. So it's hard to do a straight per capita comparison. So the question of how many police officers you need really comes down to two things. We in the police department do two main things. We answer calls for service. When someone calls 911 or the business line and they need something from us, that's a call for service, and that's our main priority as a police department. But the second thing that we do is we call department directed activities. You could call it community policing, a lot of different things. These are services that we provide to the community above the calls for service. And you can see kind of the chart over on the other side, looking at our priorities. I won't go through them all, but responding to those calls for service, completing all the required work, all the administrative tasks that an officer has to do during their day, including take breaks, including get their card checked out, including briefings, including answering emails. So there's a lot of things they have to do administratively. And then number 5 is all of those other duties that we know that the community expects of us and which we want to provide. So that really, the challenge comes in balancing those two things, is answering the calls for service and then the department directed activities of the community policing. And my next slide, I'm going to use my big shout out to all of the teachers when I was in high school, when I said I'm not going to need math when I grow up. And to all those teachers that proved me wrong, who knew I would be here today using math and deciding how many police officers I need. So I'm going to give you a crash course in my math here. So we undertook this year a police allocation model that doesn't use a per capita comparison, but actually looks at how many calls for service you have, the nature of those calls for service, how much time your officers have to answer those calls for service, and then using the math, finding out how much time you have to do all of those extra things, those department directed activities. So I'm going to go through the math with you. You can see the formula, which was up on the top right. You take the number of hours you have available, you subtract out the time it takes for all those calls for service, and then you divide that by that net available hours, and that's going to give you that percentage of time that you have to work on all those other things. So first thing, we estimate the time consumed on calls for service. You can see right below that in 2019, we responded to 13,570 calls for service, and 1,192 required reports, and 12,378 were non-report generated calls for service. And out of those, we had second officers respond to, as you can see, 3541. Now, I won't go through there was a lot, like I said, this is a real crash course. But when all the time was added up, it was 17,657 hours were spent on calls for service from our patrol division. So we have that number of how much time it takes to handle those. Next, we looked at on the left is we look at how much time do we have available. Well, here's what I can tell you, is our officers work about 143.9 days a year, and you can see their average hours worked per day. We take out that administrative time that they're required to do. We take out a small amount of unrecoverable time. This is the time they spend either in traffic or just time they're not going to get back. And you can see they have about 8.33 hours a day available to handle all of these things. And so you multiply that by the 143 days, and you can see one officer has about 1,200 hours of net available time per year. So hang with me, I'm almost done. So as you can see down below, we now plug things into our formula. And if you look at the 20 patrol officers, which we now have, you take that 1,200 hours net available time times the 20. You take out that the calls for service, that's 17,000 hours calls for service. Divide that by the available time, and you can see what that does is gives our officers 26% of their time available for them to handle all of the other duties. Now, I'm here to tell you that that's not enough. The recommendation is the ratio from calls for service to community policing should be 60-40. And so this is the challenge we face as the community grows, is how do we keep up that the time available we have so that our officers can do all of those other things that are expected. And you can see, you just plug in the different numbers. If you had 24 hours, you can see you're at about 38% of the time. So that is the 4 steps. You can see the last one is establish performance objectives. And the performance objective is that percentage of time. And so we have to work to be more efficient in how we answer calls for service as one way. And then secondly, as the community grows, we need to add staff so that we can make sure that our officers have the time available to answer the calls for service and do all of the other things that are a challenge that provide service to the community. Now I'm going to stop sharing here, and I know I went through a whole bunch of stuff, and I will take any questions or any questions. But that was a lot of stuff.
All good stuff though, so no problem.
Hi, this is
Any
Amy Beth with the
questions?
school district. I don't have any questions, but I just want to thank you both. We so appreciate your partnership with us as a school district, and it's so nice to be able to just call or text either one of you whenever anything comes up. So thank you so much for that. I actually heard this morning on the news that it is National First Responders Day. I don't know if you knew that.
That's good timing.
But so I just wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you to our first responders. So, but truly, greatly appreciate our partnership and your friendship, and thanks for all you do.
Thank you, Amy Beth. Any other questions for Chief Dyer or any of the other chiefs?
Yeah, this is Robin McGee. I have a question. I'm just wondering, Chief Dyer, is your presentation available on your website, or how would we find that?
Well, I'd be happy to do that. I just made it this morning, so. But I'd be more than, and Robin, I think I have your email address. I'd be happy to send it to you, but put it on my website as well.
Either one is great. Yeah, it was kind of hard to see. I was sort of trying to look at the.
Yeah, I couldn't, for whatever reason, it wouldn't go to full screen, so it was a little tough to see. I apologize.
Great,
It's
thank you so much.
technology. Thank you for your question, Robin. Appreciate it. Any other questions for either of the chiefs? Yeah, Pam, do you have a question?
I do, thank you. And I apologize, I'm not trying to be incognito. I just can't get the video to work.
No problem.
Chief Dyer, I do want to thank you for how you've handled the rallies that have happened this summer. Really appreciate that. And I really appreciate your presentation as well. And I'm here today to ask a question about preparation for possible civil unrest after the election. Even in the Seattle Sunday Times, they wrote a big article about it with a possible contested election, spiking gun sales. We have some Proud Boys in our area, in our community, that caused a serious problem in Snohomish a few months ago. So my question is how you might be preparing for the possibility of some type of civil unrest, unauthorized armed militias in our town?
Well, I'll first start with is just a few days ago, we had a briefing, and when I say we, the Sheriff and Chiefs Association of Snohomish County, from the FBI, Homeland Security, as well as our county election folks, to talk about were there any concerns out there. We're in a pretty good position. And again, I go back to what a great community this is, and we don't have some of the challenges that some of the other places around the country may have, but be that as it may, We know that we have one drop-off election box, and while we cannot post someone there, because that would be a challenge, it's people last-minute voting type of thing, but we would be available, obviously. We know where it is, we're keeping an eye on it, and we'll provide traffic control, and we will also have extra people out while we do not have any intelligence or any information that's leading us to believe that we are going to see any issues in Lake Stevens. We're remaining calm but wary, if you will. So we will have extra people working, and we'll be responding to whatever, like I said, we have no information at this time,
Sure.
but we'll keep prepared for it. And
Okay.
our militia groups, as you talked about, and that's a tough one. I mean, because this is an open carry state. The groups that you mentioned, well, obviously, I do not support them. We have a fine line that we have to ride between the protection of constitutional rights and people who then abuse that to then cross over that line. So we are ready to do that.
Thank you. I do appreciate that. And I also would like to mention that Georgetown law has a lot of data on the fact that, well, open carry is one thing, but being an unauthorized militia and usurping some type of police presence, and assuming that, on their own behalf is not legal. Open carry is one thing, but operating and functioning as though you were part of the police when you are indeed not part of the police is an area of concern for me. But I do appreciate your sharing the awareness that you have, and that in itself is comforting to me, and I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you, Pam.
Excellent. Any other questions for either of the chiefs today? No? If you missed any, I want to hear any of the presentation I am recording, and we'll get this up onto our Facebook page, Discover Lake Stevens, later today. So do keep an eye out for that. Chief O'Brien, Chief Dyer, you guys, any last words?
Again, thank you. Thanks for the time. A couple things. Actually, Chief Dyer, when he was talking, I was about to put a chat in. Can you hear me?
Yes, no problem.
Okay. So in my career, I had a chance to work with a few different police departments, and I have to say honestly, and it's not just because he's my friend, the Lake Stevens Police Department, Chief Dyer, top notch, best police department I've ever worked with. And the part that for me that makes it that way is their heart. They really care about each other, about the community they serve, and he has a great organization. So good job, Chief. And we love working with them, and we love supporting them. So, and then one other very important thing, please check your smoke detectors.
Yes. Yes, as we come to this weekend and the fall back, this is the time to do that, right? Yep.
No, thanks. And Amy Beth, thanks for your kind comments too. We feel the same way about the school district. We're all partners. We're all in this together. So thank you. Good to see everybody.
Chief, Dyer, any last words from you?
I think he said those nice things just because I'm sitting here.
Yeah, I was going to make that comment. But
No, I echo what he said. Want to get your volume down?
Yep.
I echo what Chief O'Brien said, and right back at him. Fantastic organization that he has, and it's a huge pleasure for me to work at Lake Stevens. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank you both for being here today and for your fine presentations, keeping us all informed about both the fire services and police services in the Lake Stevens area. I'm going to do this real quick, as we head out. Just again, thank you all again, thanks to the chiefs, and thanks to all of you for joining us today. We appreciate it. Real quick, I just want to remind you, thank you to our gold investor, Ace Hardware. And community transit rather, and our silver investors, Waste Management, Heritage Bank, Wells Fargo, and Republic Services. Again, hope you all can join us this weekend at the Harvest Fest down in North Cove Park. It's going to be a lot of fun, I think. That's all I've got. So thank you very much. Have a safe and wonderful Halloween if we don't see you, and take care.